For this video, I decided to do 2 drawings based on the same photograph. And for the first one, I'm just laying down some turquoise pen pastel with my sponge. I received this pen pastel in my Sketchbox scrap box a few weeks ago, and I wanted to try using them again since I hadn't whipped them out since the first time. I decided to do a contour line drawing. For that, I'm using the Pigma BB pen. I liked working with it, but because the tip is like a sponge rather than a brush, it was a little hard for me to figure out how to control the line variation. Also, I don't do continuous line drawings as often as I should. And I was trying to figure out which points were good ones to deviate from the shape to lead to another one, and which points were just like a nice stopping point. There are breaks in the drawing around the edge just because, like I said, the spongy tip is a little strange because it's stiff at the same time being kind of flexible, so I ended up leaving the paper more than I thought I would. And then I decided to add some background and shadow with the phthalo green pen pastel. I think I'm going to work with them some more because I liked it, but I'm still not as good as I want to be with these pen pastels. And I might try cutting the sponge into different shapes so that it'll be easier to work with than just the wide wedge that it is currently. That's Senor del Gato right there. And then I use the Krink black paint pen to just add some texture and darkness to the background so that the figure would stand out a little bit more. But I think I actually preferred it before I put down the dark color. And there it is finished. Here I am busting out my Wolf's Graphite sketch set that I got in my last Sketchbox. Yeah, this was another Sketchbox one. This one was for August. It wasn't part of the scrap box. I use the HB because it lays down the lightest line, so it's easier to erase or draw over because it's a harder lead. I drew the shape of the head and the sockets of the eyes first because I usually just rush in there and draw in the eye shapes without having them in the proper place, and then the figure just ends up all cockeyed. And I think it ended up better this way. But I feel like I maybe put her mouth a little too high based on her chin, but I kind of like it. And then I just used a regular old brush pen for that one. It wasn't one of the ones that came in one of my subscription box sets. It was a lot easier for me to control the line variation with this one. But then, in order to get some thinner lines, I went back in with my Hybrid Technica Pentel 04 sized ink pen that I received in my August scrap box. Not August scrap box, but my Sketchbox scrap box. She was wearing a snowy hood, but I decided to just turn it into a regular old cloth hood or scarf with a fuzzy textured scarf. Erasing once I had all the ink lines down. I had to make sure they were dry so I didn't end up smearing the ink across the page. But the eraser was a little tougher than I thought it was, so it ended up pulling up some of the ink from the paper, or actually pulling the paper away from the paper. So I had to go back in and draw some of the lines over. I'm just using a hatching technique to add a little shade to her face. so that you can better see the angles and planes of her face. To make the scarf look just a little more furry, I used short strokes rather than the longer ones that I was putting on her face, and I made sure that they went in different directions. Threw in a little hair streaks so that it would make her hair look a little more natural and not so stiff. Flyaways.